We live in a fast-paced and hectic world where it's easy to feel overwhelmed, stressed, and out of control. How do you manage all the competing pressures without losing sense of yourself? How do you stay focused enough to not only plot a path, but follow it? Welcome to Master Your Life, a show that offers inspiration, insight, and intelligence, as well as success stories from many walks of life that can show you how you can control your own destiny. Our knowledgeable and entertaining host and her guests give practical advice that you can use every day in the quest to master your life. Now, here's your host, Leaha Mattinson.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. I'm host Leaha Mattinson. So glad that each and every one of you is joining us from wherever it is that you are on this wonderful planet. Today, it's my wonderful delight and pleasure to welcome to the show Dr. David Hardy. Dr. Dave, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Fantastic. So Dr. Dave is a functional neurologist, chiropractor who works out of the Collegiate Sports Center in Red Deer, Alberta, Canada. You can find him through all of his social media, which you can find in the show notes and below this podcast. Dave's been on a number of interviews with me, and we've talked about everything from neurological health, birth to death, to patient preference of care, balance, a very important subject matter. But today we're going to focus in on something that's happening present time, which is the Olympics. Dave, why do you think the Olympics is such a great thing to focus in on? Why are we crazy about the Olympics?
I'm excited about the Olympics. Like the Olympics are just that major event that happens, well, every 4 years. And for a brief moment in time, you're able to see so many more sports that are never played on major TV. And you start to see like these athletes that are just they're doing amazing things. And yeah, just to see them compete for that ultimate prize and that the atmosphere, bringing that many countries and that many people together is just mind-boggling. I love it.
Yeah, it's lots of fun to watch. My mom loves watching the skating portion of the program, so we tune into that because she was a skater at one time. And my sister was actually a very elite gymnast. So shortly after the 1976 Olympics, when 𝑸𝒖𝒐𝒕𝒂𝒃𝒍𝒆 𝑸𝒖𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂 how old would she have been? 5 years old, and saw that competition on TV, and then we couldn't get her off her head. So so these things, it's important to really savor the amount of work that's gone into the athleticism and training of these athletes. And the majority of them are not celebrities. The majority of them are actually grinding it out every day athletes. And I think that's what sets them apart from a lot of the sort of, gladiators that we see on TV. So they don't necessarily have the celebrity, but they certainly have put in thousands and thousands and thousands of training hours to become the top of their sport. So there's an upside to that, and there's a downside to that as well. So, and being a functional neurologist and chiropractor, Dr. Dave, I think that what we wanted to, focus in a bit on here on this episode is really, what is the price of being a athlete, and how do sports help or hinder us in our physiology and our happiness in life?
Yeah. You're dealing with people that are driven individuals. Like, to say people are naturals, well, a natural does not become an Olympic gold medalist, because just somebody who's born with natural ability may not have that drive or determination to get up there. And even people that are blessed early on to have good skills or intuition around a sport or activity still need to put in all that work and effort to continue to train and get their body and nervous system functioning at a complete higher level. And yeah, you're dealing with like just fractions of a second or smaller than millimeters to do something that's absolutely incredible. Like you talk about gymnastics, like I love watching that because like those are things that body control I just have never had. and it just looks so smooth and fluid. And I'm impressed by all of them. Like
Right.
it's just awesome to see like all that hard work, dedication, training going into something really amazing. And yeah, and the things they're doing are pushing the limits. And I think that's the exciting part too, is and just when you think another barrier can't be met or exceeded, it happens. Somebody comes out and does it. And it's just that a great time of year to sit down and see it and be inspired by it. Because too, like a lot of people say that they're not good at something. Well, yeah, you're not going to be at that level, but you can have so much enjoyment behind it. And watching somebody at that level, just the sheer act of watching it and your brain processing it, you're going to become better as well. So, yeah.
Right. So you get the added bonus of that. I want to focus in a little bit on gymnastics, and probably because I have a bias about it. However, we did an interview recently called On Balance. So for those of you who haven't seen it, go watch that, because we talk about the first fundamental thing in gymnastics. It's something that's actually taught in almost as the foundation of every other sport. If you're good in all of the elements of gymnastics, that can be a foundation for success in every other athletic adventure. You don't necessarily need to be an athlete, but it certainly helps you to be flexible, strong, all of the, balanced, coordinated, your body to be organized and neurologically wired to be successful in almost everything else. So with that balance, the idea of balance and the idea also of how we wire ourselves to be excited about something and how that benefits us. You don't have to be a gymnast, but if you just improved your balance, that might improve your life. And so we can be inspired to actually do things by watching other people. So it isn't just the watching things and getting excited and going, woohoo, like I love watching whoever fill in the name here. I love that sport and it makes me so excited to see all that. The activation piece beyond the neurological rah, 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 at least in my opinion, is that you actually get your own tush off the couch and you start to do something with your body that maybe you hadn't considered doing before. Now, I'm not saying to do a triple sow cow or any of that, but if you can, go for it. But it's supposed to be more than, I think people do just often watch it for the sheer visual enjoyment of it. And they really do miss out on what inspiration can ultimately be, which is this activating potential of, well, what could I do if that person can flip around and walk on a balance beam? Can I walk on the edge of a guardrail? Can I, like, this is like starting steps, right? Can I swing around on a monkey bar? Can I, like, what are the things that I can do that, or what are the things that my kids can do? My children
exactly.
can do?
And how many parents are getting excited about watching their kids' sports by all sitting down with them and watching the professionals do it? And I think that's one of the biggest gifts there too, is some people figure that they're way past due on becoming a good athlete or anything, but you also have that enjoyment of watching people younger than you start to exceed and excel at things, and then you get involved in something as well and are more active, whether it's coaching, whether being a spectator, or whether helping practice or doing activities as well. So it's definitely got that funnel down effect. So yeah, it's great all around.
It's great all around. I love it. I love it. And the heart also expansion that happens when you watch something and you really authentically feel it. So I said often during this week, not just the Olympics, but this convoy in Canada, has my heart swelling when I watch that. it's like, so what other people feel for the Olympics is how I feel for that. I feel like that heart swelling with pride, with hope, with, I don't even know what all the words would be, but just that there's something neurologically changes for me and physiologically changes and emotionally changes for me when I watch those people who are so pure in their efforts, just putting it out there, which is like Olympic athletes. They don't know if they're going to hit the ice. They don't know if they're going to break any bones. They're just going into it with the best thing that they can, their foundational skills, and they're going for it. You know, and
there's something about people coming together, and we've been starved of that for the past 2 years. Mm-hmm. And we're social creatures, and we need that mentally, and we haven't had any of that. We've had the complete opposite. It's been isolation, and people are tired, and they're just not doing well. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, seeing groups come together, and like my favorite sport's rugby, and right now is the Six Nations Championship going on, and the stadiums are full again. It's amazing too to see that the energy of the fans, spectators are higher too, because they haven't been able to get out and enjoy that aspect of social culture that we've had previous to the past 2 years of events. So, and then just, normal people realizing that and coming together to once again say that, no, we're social beings and we need each other is incredible to see. And as he said, it really, really hits the heartstrings. Like, goosebumps when I first saw everything there. I'm like, yes, people, yes.
So I want to end on a maybe more serious note. One of the things that does happen when people collectively get together is sometimes that elevated energy gets people doing silly stuff. And so what is it that goes on in the brain? When I say silly stuff, what I mean is that they become violent or obnoxious, or any level on the scale of obnoxious, and then that escalating into physical stuff that's not appropriate. What would you say to those people, or that response to excitement? Like, what's going on in the brain? What's going on that people maybe need to consider dialing back? Or what advice would you have around that? Or what have you seen that you went, what are you people doing over there? Like, whoa, time out. And then, like, how do people reconstitute themselves so that they're not doing things that get themselves into trouble once they actually get out in public? Because I think that's a valid concern.
Yeah, you see it when, like, the riots after your favorite football team wins or loses, and
it's like, what are people thinking?
A lot of it's just that high energy state, and then of course there's usually alcohol or other things that brings down our inhibition or our thinking centers, and people just act in that primitive fashion. And quite often it's more a select few, but once again, herd mentality, once the herd starts to get more and more energy, that turns into aggression, that turns into events that we aren't wanting, is just not the direction that thing should go. And that's been the great thing about everything right now, is just how peaceful things are as well. So let's hope that as society unfolds here in the months and years to come, that it continues to stay peaceful when things reopen, and that herd energy and aggression is kept in check. So
and with all things, there's right time, right place for action. So yes,
the great thing about sports too, like, people ask me, you're in the concussion world, you see people that have been damaged and injured by sports.
Right.
And like, why is your favorite sport still rugby and a contact sport at that, like where there's a high concussion rate? And the answer to that is, well, people still need an avenue to get their aggression out. Like there's still a psyche in the human mentality that's that warrior and that aggression. And that's been there forever. Just because we're in the most peaceful time in human history does not mean that side of human nature is not there. Mm-hmm. And there needs to be appropriate outlets so that things don't boil over in especially young aggressive males, or now there's a young aggressive female population too. So yeah, there needs to be an outlet and channel to kind of feed that primitive side. But the rules and the games need to be made safer. And then two, the protocols to help out the unfortunate cases where people collide and have bad injuries. Mm-hmm. And it can be non-contact sports too. The worst injuries are those kind of unforeseen collisions versus the controlled collisions that you sometimes see in contact sports. Mm-hmm. So there's all sorts of things that can be done from a rules perspective to not putting somebody on the field that shouldn't be out there to treating people afterwards as well, if it does unfortunately happen. Mm-hmm. But yeah, right now, society with things opening could potentially get more violent, and hopefully we channel people to put that aggression and anger that's built up on either side into appropriate ways that help them release that energy and then get back into a healing and positive state with being able to interact with other humans.
Mm-hmm. Right. Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. It's because it is up to you as individuals to do that, not up to society to figure out how to manage your lack of emotional control, which I think is part and parcel of the problem that we have currently, is that other people think that most people think that other people should be controlling everything they do. Well, so-and-so said I needed to be this way, so that's how I'm acting. And it versus the internal locus of control going, if I go out and do this thing, whether it's not good or good, and you know the difference between the two. So where people go, oh, there's no difference. There's no bad, there's no good, that's such a bunch of hogwash. And that people are trying to sell that by the boatload. There is absolutely a distinction between what is morally good and morally not. And we know what it is. So also when people go, well, that person didn't know any better, I beg to differ. And this is where kind of the rubber meets the road, where people need to look within themselves and go, okay, what am I doing myself to actually add to my own health and well-being? Do I have concussions? Do I have head injuries that have created things because I was in sports? Was I wrestling? Did I fall off the monkey bars? Are there things that internally I know where my brain function isn't that great? And then
am I being shut inside, stressed out for a few years, and now I have this pent up anger? Like all of it. It doesn't have to be an injury. It can be a slow, prolonged, unhealthy lifestyle filled with stress, poor eating, and everything else that causes us to lose our ability to be functional and rational, and it causes us to be edgy and snappy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or I'm just always that way. No, I'm not.
Activity in this, like my dog goes everywhere with me when I go hiking, and he gets me up and down the hill. It's a blast. Mm-hmm. And like it's icy right now. Like I'm icy. Just to get out, but I'm hiking this one hill and mountain actually, and my dog's off leash. Like it's the mountains.
Right.
So yes. What? And my dog didn't even go up to this lady. And she basically came over to tell me to put my dog on a leash. And I'm like, we were nowhere close to you. You came to me because you didn't like me not following your definition of a rule.
Mm-hmm.
And my dog had no influence over her whatsoever other than she could see it. And I think it's time people just go on with their own lives and stop telling people what to do all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why don't you introduce yourself before you start tagging on somebody? And yeah, we've lost that social ability. It's insane. People will snap at each other instead of, hey, how are you? Oh, your dog's there. Oh, sorry, I'm afraid of dogs. Please keep it away.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought we were type thing. But
right.
Yeah, we're just seeing people snap and be edgy at each other because our perceived rules are different than their perceived rules. And hopefully, like with the atmosphere of sports, cooperation, sportsmanship too, at this period of time, and groups coming back together, that we can go that direction instead of now two separate groups snapping at each other.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right. Yeah. And I think sports are so important, or athleticism, maybe even more so, is so important. So first of all, athleticism, second of all, sport. And that you could develop a lot of athleticism on your own that makes you a better part of a team. So you don't necessarily need the team in order to have the physical benefit of running or walking quickly or whatever it is. The team benefit is also a benefit, but it doesn't mean you have to wait until practice day with your team to get your body moving, which a lot of people go, oh, it's like, I can't do it until I get together with my team. Like, really? Come on. Yes, you can. You can get out and do some things and get your body moving and work out that aggression long before you get together with other people.
It also goes into the motivation aspect, though, that some people are designed for those team sports. That's the way they get themselves motivated and up to go work out, and brings them the enjoyment. And versus the individual aspect. And yeah, a lot of team sports have just been decimated over the past couple of years. Mm-hmm. And bringing them back's hopefully going to be easier than what I'm predicting. But yeah, it has not been good. A lot of people just, they don't feel good working out by themselves. And then, yeah, some people are the opposite. They get into the zone just by an individual sport, and that's great and amazing too. And kind of the Winter Olympics, you see both sides even more, because I think there's probably a lot more individual sports in the Winter Olympics than team sports. And so you do see these dedicated athletes, but all of them too usually train together with others, and that challenges them to push and drive themselves even more. Mm-hmm. So that's so needed, and it's been something that has been taken away the past couple of years. So I'm looking forward to returning.
Right. So part of my perspective as a grandmother now, and having been a professional athletic trainer for a number of years, decades, in fact, is that there's so much injury that happens as a result of quote unquote athleticism and team sports. And so the sensible part of me goes, and the psychology background also goes, yeah, it makes sense, the need to get together for team sports and do these things. And then the other side of me going, there's also this part where just going out to play without some sort of common sense applied, maybe not even common sense, because I think it's uncommon sense to look at a situation and go, that child should not be playing that sport. That kid's going to get killed. That the kids that they're playing with are too big. They're going to get roughed up and have, so these injuries that are, or when people run mile after mile after mile, and then they wonder why they need a hip replacement surgery when they're 40. you know, so then, and they do, and they go, well, I don't know why I need hip replacement. I go, well, how many miles did you run every single day? And why were you doing the running? Like, what was the running about? So people, well, I was running because it got me into the zone. And I'm like, oh, it got you out of dealing with your day-to-day problems. And they'll go, oh yeah, there was probably an element of that too. So there's this mix, really a fine mix of going, what is causing my body to not need surgical intervention in a short period of time, or medications that are also unnecessary. Like that part is important. And because a lot of people will just go gung-ho. I did. I'm first to say, holy man, I needed all kinds of treatments and cortisone shots in my elbows and from too many burpees, you know. So it's just, but now I go, wow, I wish I would have had some better coaching.
Yes. Yeah, that is the downside of always watching these professionals that are at a higher level, is that a lot of people think they need to be professionals. And you've been seeing that movement with well, in Canada with hockey and other sports, where it's, you had the hockey dads and hockey moms shouting and yelling way too much at their kids, that everyone at the
would be just dying, right? Rolling their eyes and going, oh no.
Level is going to become a professional hockey player. And that's not the case. And the biggest thing now with athletes who actually make it is they're the ones that have had good injury prevention strategies. And you're seeing more of that. So that's kind of the good thing as well. And there is a psyche to it. Like, there are people that are going to want to drive and see how far their body goes. And that's good. That's their goal. But others don't need to be in that same environment to enjoy themselves and have fun. And that mentality, I think it's starting to come into more childhood amateur sports, is just the enjoyment aspect. And then eventually when you grow, it's going to determine which route people go, whether it's just kind of that enjoyment, healthy style activity versus that push and drive for absolute excellence and perfection. And we give probably too much accolades to that excellent performance stuff, and not enough just to people that get out and enjoy life and have that aspect to it. So yeah, with pro sports and the Olympics and everything else, we see the top people, but that doesn't mean everybody needs to be that top performing athlete. And then if you want your career to be sustainable, you have to look at injury prevention, and even bigger is the recovery after your activity. The whole mentality used to be train 7 days a week, and people were overtraining and not recovering properly. And the biggest thing now I'm seeing with like high school kids that come in, that are in these like academies for different sports, is I see so many asymmetries in muscle mass between side to side. So like the biggest was this volleyball player. He comes in and I'm working on his right side, and it is, yeah, he's muscular. He's hitting constantly with his right. And then I look over at his left, and I would have thought that it had atrophied, that he had muscle wasting or something. He had overtrained the right side of his body and neglected the left. It was kind of like that meme of an arm wrestler who has this giant right bicep and arm, and the other one's this scrawny little thing. And I'm just looking at this kid going, have you ever thought about hitting with your left as well?
And what did he say? Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Because we used to laugh at the gym when people obviously were using steroids of some kind, and they would have these huge biceps and no legs, right? Oh, that guy missed leg day. for the last 6 years. So there's that. But, and all joking aside, we would joke, I lived in Okanagan Falls in BC, and there was a place called Tickleberries that had ice cream, like beautiful ice cream shop, gorgeous. Everyone from all over the planet should go and check it out. But and I'm not getting a paid dividend for saying that, but in the summertime, they would hire all the kids from town to be ice cream scoopers, and their right arm or left, whichever was their predominant arm, would always be bigger by the end of summer. And we'd laugh about them having scooper arms. So it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And it causes, so why is that a problem though? Why is it a problem to have this asymmetry? All joking aside, it's like, it's funny, but it's not that great.
Yeah. Well, in some sports, you're going to want asymmetries to develop some extra level of power with what you're doing. But to this extent, it's just way too much. And that leads to injuries. The other one is like, I've got a couple of kids coming through that are in baseball academies. So a lot of throwing. And what happens with the shoulder is, well, our shoulder blade comes up, and that's where our glenohumeral joint is. And then also our collarbone attaches in the front to the shoulder blade, the acromion, so your AC joint. And what happens, though, is you start throwing so much that, of course, the muscles in the front, your pecs and your traps, start to get more developed. And that pulls the shoulder over and puts it in a worse position. So now when you start to throw, your acromion, where all that soft tissue goes underneath, like your supraspinatus, which usually gets tendonitis in a lot of throwers and athletes, and just people with desk posture as well. And it's because of this asymmetry between the muscles in the front and the stabilizing muscles that keep the shoulder in a good position. And you also lose power. So a lot of athletes are training the aspect of their sport that they use the most, say that throwing motion, and then they neglect all the stabilizing things, and their performance actually starts to decrease. So what's the mentality then? The mentality then is to do more.
Yes.
And you make your problem worse. Now, vestibular wise, and this is why the Winter Olympics is so fascinating to me too, and a lot of the spinning sports and flips and things people can do. In the vestibular world, I love it. But there was one figure skater that I'm looking at his face, and his eyes are at different positions, which is a vestibulopathy. So basically your eyes, neck, and balance systems are all yoked together. So when you see these deviations of the eyes, you're like, okay, that system is messed up. Like that is just staring you right in the face.
Right.
And same thing, he's going for medals, and he's trying to do 3 or 4 spins in the air and land on a single tiny little blade. And of course, what do? We practice it more and more. We usually only do it in one direction, and we fall. Well, get back up, start practicing more and more. Well, by spinning in the same exact direction, you're reprogramming that balance and orientation system to be off. Right. So that whole mentality, once again, to, keep practicing till you land it, wasn't working, because in this case, he was reprogramming his balance orientation system to be off more.
Just what I think is, wow, that'd be like trying to be a skater after drinking.
Yeah.
Like your whole balance system is completely messed up. So when you're looking at your own training program, or you're a parent or a grandparent who's working with people who are doing, and spins are hard. So even if you try standing on the floor and spinning in a circle 10 times with your arms kind of above to your sides, if most people feel like they're going to throw up, that's how little we actually spin in our day-to-day lives, right? So it's a really
their system to be so accurate with all of that.
Yes.
But the thing is, once again, they're dealing with fractions of millimeters before, like at that high level with everything on the line. And they don't realize that sometimes what they're doing in practice and training is actually detrimental to them getting to their goal. And yeah, especially in the spin sports, you've now got that you got to measure your orientation system. And especially after falls, because concussions kind of, once again, mangle and change that system. So yeah, somebody who can be extremely fast, run this direction, and then have to turn and move. Well, these pro athletes, they're dealing with, once again, small little finite movements in short periods of time. And if that system becomes unprogrammed for multiple factors, whether it's training improperly or an injury or whatever else, you don't know, other than you kind of just feel your performance is going down.
Right.
And then the strategies to get better aren't there.
Right. Lots of athletes are flying through my mind right now, and regular folk too, because I go, there you go. It's like, it's the professional athletes. If you're thinking, oh, that's just for professional athletes, even artists are affected by the same sort of stuff. That it isn't, because when you're taking this little fine, like ATP sort of movement, to avoid things, and like, we live in Canada, it's been minus 40 something. It's as icy as you know what right now, almost in every community in Alberta anyway. It was horribly icy. And so when you step outside your door, you actually have to be a pro athlete to make it to your vehicle if it's parked in the driveway. So whether you're 90 years old and you're driving your own vehicle, or you're 20 and 16 driving your own car, to walk across the street to get to your vehicle, or to walk out, even just outside your door, it only takes one step for you to be on your butt, and then and then you've got an injury. So it is not just the pro athletes; it's also us.
This has also skewed our idea of concussions. As pro athletes or athletes who have trained a long time, they've conditioned their bodies. So like, you see those slow motion, like in boxing, where somebody gets punched and their face kind of is deformed.
Right.
And they're fine. They continue on. But an average person, or somebody who's maybe a little more elderly, or something else is just declined, or they're not conditioned, they can have a slip and fall and have this horrific injury that takes them out of how they can even function in daily life. So not everything we see is a concussion, because once again, they're conditioned and can handle it. And then somebody who's not can have these small little falls or injuries and have a devastating injury. And then people look at the initial injury and go, oh, well, it wasn't that bad.
Right.
You weren't at high speeds in that car accident. And it's the wrong mentality, because you're looking at the injury thinking it needs to be something huge and massive to create these issues. But the issue was, it happened to the wrong person in the wrong way, and now their system is devastated by it. And
devastate's a good word. I think that's a really good, accurate word, because again, from the optics of looking in, sometimes you'll look at people and go, well, that wasn't that bad, but for them it was.
Absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't need to be something large, or they might have been inflamed or had other issues going on with brain function before, and then a smaller little hit or injury was something that really was not good for them. And this actually goes to children as well. And we've talked about it, the wrong person being in the wrong game. Just because they're a different size, maybe they have better skills and can handle things differently. But somebody else who has, once again, a neurodevelopmental disorder, and parts of their brain and nervous system aren't functioning properly to begin with, they're probably going to have a more severe damage from a contact situation, usually an uncontrolled contact situation. Mm-hmm. And those are the ones that have these persistent symptoms. And there's some screening tools out there, but those screening tools are basically just to get a baseline. Mm-hmm. And then if you get injured, it's okay, well, you're back to baseline. Let's get you out there. Instead of looking at that system and improving it before sports. And that's the mentality that I haven't heard spoken about yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so what do you think is the solution then for people who are listening in that are going, okay, I recognize that either myself or someone that I care about is maybe experiencing some, and I'll call it symptoms or side effects from, or just symptoms or side effects, doesn't even have to be from a sport, but what can they do to go beyond just that baseline tool? What would you recommend?
You've got to find somebody trained in this. And that's been the thing is now it's kind of the Wild West. Everybody's realizing that all these modalities and therapies have an impact on the brain. Mm-hmm. And everybody's getting into it, but not everyone's equally trained or has the expertise behind it. And there is no title that gives that credibility to it at the moment. It's diving into the training and experience of each individual practitioner and really figuring out what capabilities they have. And that's been the hornet's nest for so many people that have brain injuries that are going around seeking help, is the knowledge of the nervous system and the knowledge of actual rehab therapies to improve it haven't been connected. It's been disconnected in the healthcare service for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. And then back in the day, people used to be said it was psychogenic and told that basically that they're crazy because of what symptoms they're reporting. Oh, we didn't see it on an MRI. MRIs don't tell you a thing about what's going on in a concussion.
Right. Yeah, it's important to know. One thing I'm going to take just a minute and suggest that people can do to get some feedback is to try biofeedback. And you can do that by coming to the masteryourlife.ca website. We have a thing there called Genius Biofeedback. You can try it there for 14 days for nothing. I don't even think they ask for a credit card. And you can it gives you feedback about your body. So in all the systems, and it's easy to use, it's easy to operate, and it would at least be a starting point, but you become your own sort of.
A lot of great tools are coming out, and that the biofeedback ones are part of it. Ways to actually assess your own health that's objective and
it's objective. You might not want to know
of what's going on versus here's your symptom, or this is just my normal type thing. Yeah, the biofeedback devices are great at giving you that little pieces of information to continue on with your performance and
even being able to formulate good questions when you're actually trying to find somebody to help you. So you can use the tech to help to heal your body. And there might be stuff where you go, doesn't look like it's improving using the technology. So how can I reach out to somebody to get some help around this? Because sometimes you will get stuck. One of the things I noticed with the Huntington's disease thing is that in my neurology, the basal ganglion thing is stuck at 20. It's like, which is not a good thing. So then I need to reach out to people to go, okay, well, how do I move this thing? So that's what the tool will actually is very helpful in terms of diagnosing things and being able to formulate questions in all areas. So it's very cool. Your spinal energy is another thing. And we've got only about 3 minutes left, Dave. I wondered what you think about the impact of emotions on our health and well-being, because we're talking about, when somebody has a fall or somebody takes a hit, or the way that somebody responds to an injury or a slip or an incident. Lots of times people won't take into account anything to do with emotions, like, let's go back to just being locked down for 2 years.
Right.
how people are feeling about all that stuff. Does that impact our
yes.
recovery?
Yeah, it's going to slow down how the brain's functioning and working. And
slowing it down. Like, this is really important to note.
And I'll throw out one term there, and we'll end on that, is the brain. One factor is resourcing. So basically what resourcing means is basically where the brain is kind of more stimulated and working. So we obviously can't fire all of our brain all at once. That would be a seizure and be very horrific. Right. But we can, once again, kind of resource the energy in the brain to different parts of it. So when it's in this depressed, non-functional realm, all the resourcing is going to just survival and not into all these higher areas of our brain that make us alert and functioning and feeling good. So yeah, the emotional state is huge. Like, yeah, just take, for example, your most stressful day where you do feel more edgy and everything else. And you realize that instead of being above and being able to function and process things, you get right into the heat of the battle instead. You become snappy with your significant other or your kids or your dog. And you're once again in that primitive mode. And it doesn't take much for us to get into that state. And yeah, stress, injury, emotions, all of it are going to drag us down. And then the exciting part is, okay, well, how do we get out of that funk and get better and heal? And yeah, there's so much out there. And I hope we've hit on enough that people start looking into it even farther.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Dave. I appreciate all of the breadth and depth of your knowledge and wisdom, and people who want to connect with you at the Collegiate Sports Center ought to do that. He's happy to hear from you and happy to connect and to answer questions. You can check out the Genius Biofeedback on masteryourlife.ca. Everyone, think about how you can resource your brain a little bit more this week, or how you can help those around you to be more resourced. Maybe that's watching the Olympics. Maybe it's watching a convoy of good old grassroots truckers, whatever it is, hugging your grandchildren. Do that. We love you all. Love yourselves. Love each other. Mind your minds. That's all for us. Bye for now.
Thank you for being a part of our program today. Master Your Life is a presentation of Leaha Mattinson Enterprises, Inc. Join us next time on Master Your Life, helping you to discover the very best of you.